Okay, brewers, it's confession time. For some time now, I've had this rubbery, spicy, plasticky off flavor in my beer. And today we're going to troubleshoot that and see how we can remedy it. Stay with me. As many of you have probably already deduced, the off flavor, I think at least it sounds like I'm dealing with, is chlorophenols. Let's have another look. There's a rubbery, spicy aroma on the nose. And it shines through in this beer because it's an otherwise delicate beer with some delicate tropical, citrus, and hop notes. But then, in the midst of that, really riding roughshod over all that, is this rubbery off flavour. So what went wrong? How did we get there? Well, chlorophenols are a combination of two chemicals. Chlorine or chloramines, which is often in tap water, drinking water, and your hop phenols. When these two chemicals get together, they create chlorophenols. And this explains why I haven't noticed this off flavour so much in my less hoppy beers. It seems to show up in the more hoppy beers because I'm adding more hops. Therefore, there's more hop polyphenols to join forces with the chlorines or chloramines and to give us this rubbery off flavour. Now, I noticed this years ago in my brewing water. Where I live, we used to have chlorine was the main sanitizer in the town water here. And that was fine because you would boil that off. You would use things like Campden tablets, sodium metabisulfite, which would bind those chlorines, drop them out of solution, or if you're boiling, the chlorine would evaporate off, and then you don't have a problem anymore. There's no chlorine left in your water. You get on, you brew without any dramas. But a couple of years ago, I noticed a shift. They started using chloramines in our water, which are not as volatile as chlorine. They're bigger molecule, so they hang around in the water. When you boil, they don't disappear. So these chlorines have been a bit of a problem for me. I've tried filtering at the moment. I use a 10 micron filter, which doesn't take out all the chemicals, but it should take out chlorine. But still, I'm getting this problem persisting in my finished beer. I've tried Campden, had limited success with that. I've heard other people say that Campden doesn't actually remove chloramines. You have to add some vitamin C. I've tried that as well and had varying success with that. Look, if you've got some info on that, drop us a comment down below to let me know. Does Campden or sodium metabisulfite take chloramines out of solution, or is it ineffective? Is vitamin C a good alternative? What's a good way to do this without filtering? So I'm at the end of my tether with this problem, so I've decided to go RO. If an RO filter can't remove these things, then what can? And I've held off on this for a long time because in my mind, why? I don't need to. But, I've tried all these other things, so maybe I do. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to brew this New Zealand Pilsner, which is a hoppy beer. And it has quite a simple malt palate. So if this problem's going to shine through in any beer, it's going to be this one. So if I can get this one right, I know I've solved my polyphenol problem. All right, let's give it a go. So this is my new RO system I've purchased, hoping I can solve some of my water chemistry issues. How do these things work? There's a produce side, and if we follow that line, I'm collecting that in my tub for brewing water. There's an input line here, which is connected to the hose. And there's an output, a waste line down the bottom there, which is going straight into the pool. For my New Zealand Pilsner, I'm going to use 2 kilos of floor malted Pilsner malt from Bohemia, from Czechoslovakia. I'm hoping that by using this malt, we can crowbar a bit more malty flavour into our Pilsner. Next, we've got some Gladfield toffee malt. You'll notice the darker caramelly texture of this malt compared to the floor malted Pilsner. I'm hoping this is going to add a bit more malt sweetness again to my finished beer, given our reduced grain bill, because we're making a low alcohol version of this New Zealand Pilsner. Finally, I'm adding 200 grams of Dexter malt from Voyager. You'll notice it's got a paler complexion to the toffee and nice plump kernels. This will hopefully add a fuller mouthfeel to the finished beer and maybe some more malt complexity. Don't know, we'll see how we go. Now, in some earlier videos you may have seen that I've had some stuck sparges and I've milled my grain too fine. So I've looked it up, I've set this grain mill to 5, which is apparently 1.3 millimeters, which is apparently the crush I need for my base grains today. So Andy, Chris, thanks for joining us again. Thank you. So you've got 2 beers in front of you. One is a light, hoppy, low alcohol beer that I've made, and I think it illustrates the problem I've had with my water, this rubbery, spicy thing. So I put that in as like calibration beer, so you can try it and see what I've been complaining about. I mean, I think Andy knows he's mentioned this in my beer in the past, and we've been trying to troubleshoot it for a while. And side by side, I've had a go at making a New Zealand Pilsner. And my theory is that this is a light, simple grain bill. It's not going to hide anything, and it's got plenty of hops in there. So if it is a chlorophenol thing, there's plenty of hop phenols in that beer. Yeah. It should jump out at it. So this is my way of testing whether my RO water's made a difference. So this first calibration beer is done with just normal water. It's filtered. I've got a 10 micron filter, which should filter out chlorine, but I don't think it's doing as good a job as it should be. Mm-hmm. And this second beer, this New Zealand Pilsner, was made with the RO water. Okay. So you guys go ahead, try them, and we'll see if it's made any difference.
So no other treatment to the water, like no Camden?
Just no Camden, but I have added brewing salts, but no Camden.
But no differently, like just the same sort of.
Yeah, and I mean they're different beers, so it's hard to.
Yeah, obviously, but
I've just put that one there as an example of what.
Yeah.
What I'm and I think it comes through pretty obviously. So.
Yeah, I think as you say, it does. It's that medicinal kind of chlorine-y kind of character. This beer is a very light beer, as you say. So it's a bit more prominent perhaps than it would be in a big IPA, or maybe not. I don't know. As you say, we've certainly talked about this before, but it's definitely still there in this one, and this was made before you got the filter. Yeah, I'm not picking anything up that along those lines from the other beer.
No.
You?
No. This is smells terrific.
Yeah, it's really
It's quite clean.
It's excellent actually.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with
yeah.
it. Yeah.
All you can smell is the really nice fruity hops. I say fruity like you guys. Fruity hops. It's much cleaner. There's none of that there, and it was in the taste as well, not just in the aroma, wasn't it? And I can't tell that it's there. So
That's good.
I mean, if that was what was causing that problem, and we never see that again, that would be
That would be nice. Yeah, I'll
great.
just stick with it.
It's not very. The chlorophenol beer is not very easy to drink.
No, and I think that's because it's so light. It's a low alcohol, and there's not much else in there. It hits you in the face. There's not much to cover it up, is there?
No.
But
true.
the other one is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, really excellent. Yeah, it's one of the better
Cool.
versions. And you said it's still pretty green as well. It's not that that long in the keg.
It is. It's just in the keg, so it'll need a month to lager or something. Hopefully, it's still got all that.
Should still get better.
in a month.
Yeah.
Melon.
Well, it should do. Hey, if it's on CO2 and so on, I mean, it should be fine. But,
Yeah, we'll see.
Nice. So we're talking about a sort of a $200 or $300 filter system or something like that.
Yeah, it was under. I think it was under $200.
Yeah. Okay. And that'll get you 12 months or so. I mean,
I was going to ask you actually because I don't know.
I was going to say the system I've got, it does talk about replacing the things every 12 months, but I don't know if that's just because 12 months has passed and you might be accumulating things on the filters that you don't want, or whether it's a volume-based measure and they assume you're using it, for dozens of litres every day, which we're obviously not. If you only brew 10 times a year,
we might have to look up and that's what
I think. I mean, I went on the basis that once you've bought the thing as well, actually replacing the filters doesn't cost the same. So let's say it was $200. Replacing the filter pieces might only cost you, say, $100. So for that $100, for the amount, for the difference it makes to the beer, I mean, I know they're not undrinkable, but arguably it's night and day sometimes, And so for the difference it makes over the course of a year, so you might do 10 or 12 or 15 batches in a year for $100, it didn't seem like a lot of money to. And I did, I mean, again, it's perhaps psychological. I feel like I did notice a difference when I changed my filters.
Yeah.
I mean, I've obviously never had it tested or anything to see what you actually end up with, but it seems very clean,
regardless of whether it's town or
exactly. That's what I figured, right? So why not use the rainwater, which is
all that frog pee gets taken out.
Yeah. What I haven't even. Yeah, it's so dry at the moment. My tank's empty.
I don't let frogs in my rainwater tank.
And if this video has whet your appetite for a New Zealand Pilsner, check out this video, which covers my recipe and process for making this beer.